Namo Narayana, welcome back. We are joined today by my kitty Fiona. You can just see this ball of fur right behind me. She is a huge ball of fur. If we got rid of all of it, I think she'd be like this big. We'll see if she stays up there. I think she's asleep right now. Anyways, we're working our way through the writings of Adi Shankara, and today I would like to read the Nirguna Manasa Puja. It opens with dialogue by a disciple who asks, in the indivisible Satchidananda, whose nature is only unconditioned, and which is also the non-dual state, how is worship prescribed? Where is the invocation of the fullness and the seat of the all-supporting? How is there washing of the feet, offering of water, and sipping for the limpid and pure one? How is there bathing for the immaculate and clothing for the womb of the universe? How is there a sacred thread for him who is without lineage and caste? How is there sandal paste for the unattached and flowers for the odorless? What is the jewel of the undifferentiated? What ornament for the formless? What use of incense for the spotless, or of lamps for the witness of everything? What is here the food offering for him who is satiated only with his own bliss? How does one prepare battle for the rejoicer of the universe? He whose nature is self-luminous consciousness, that illuminator of the sun and the other stars who is sung by Shrutis, how is there for him the light-waving ceremony? Which circumambulation for the infinite? What prostration for the non-dual reality? For him who is unknowable by words of the Vedas, what praise is prescribed? How is there the ceremony of dismissal for him who is established inside and outside? The Guru responded as such. I worship the symbol of the self, shining like a jewel and situated in the heart lotus within the city of illusion, with the ablutions of the unsullied mind from the river of faith always, with the flowers of samadhi for the sake of non-rebirth. I am the one, the ultimate. Thus one should invoke Lord Shiva. Then one should prepare the seat, that is thinking of the self-established self. I have no contact with the dust of virtue and sin. Thus should the wise one offer washing of the feet, that is such knowledge destroying all sins. One should pour forth the handful of water which is the root, that being ignorance held from the time without beginning. This is verily the water, offering of the symbol of the self. Indra and other gods drink only the tiniest fraction of a drop from the waves of the bliss of ocean of Brahman. That meditation is considered as the sipping. All the worlds are bathed verily by the water of Brahman's bliss, which is indivisible. That meditation is the ablution of the self. I am the light of consciousness without any veil. This thinking is the holy cloth of the symbol of the self. Thus should think the wise one. I am the thread of the garland of all the worlds which are in the nature of the three gunas. This conviction is verily considered here as the highest sacred thread. This manifold world, mingled with numerous impressions, is supported by me and by no other. This meditation is the sandal paste of the self. With the sesamum flowers in the form of renunciation of the activities of sattva, rajas, and tamas, one should always worship the symbol of the self for attaining liberation while living. With the non-dual betel leaves devoid of the triple distinction between the Lord, the Guru, and the self, one should worship Lord Shiva, that is the symbol of the self. One should think of his incense as the giving up of all impressions. The wise one should show the lamp that is the realization of the luminous soul. The food offering of the symbol of the self is the big rice pudding known as the egg universe of Brahma. Do drink the sweet nectar of bliss that is the delightful beverage of Lord Shiva. One should remember that cleansing the remnants of ignorance with the water of knowledge is the washing of hands of the pure symbol of self. Giving up the use of objects of passion, this is the chewing of betel of Lord Shiva, the Supreme Self who is devoid of the attributes beginning with passion. Knowledge on one's own nature is Brahman. most shining, and burning to destruction the darkness of ignorance. That is here the waving of lights of the self. The vision of the manifold Brahman is the ornament with garlands. Then one should remember the vision of the all-blissful nature of the self as the handful of flowers. Thousands of Brahma's mundane eggs revolve in me, the Lord, whose nature is immovable and steady like a heap. This meditation is the circumambulation. I am verily worthy of a universal salutation. Apart from my true self, none is so worthy of salutation. This reflection is verily here the salutation of the simple of one's own self. The idea of the unreality of duties is termed as the saintly act of the self. Thinking of the self as being beyond names and forms, this is the praise of his name. The hearing of that God is the thought of the unreality of things to be heard of. The reflection of the symbol of the self is the thought of the unreality of things to be reflected on. Knowledge of the unreality of things to be contemplated upon is the deep meditation of the self. Devotedness to the self by the absence of all delusion and distraction is named the perfect steadiness of the self, and not delusion of one whose mind rests on something else. This is called the eternal repose of the mind in Brahman itself. Thus, performing till death, or even for a moment, this worship of the symbols of one's own self, which is expounded according to Vedanta, one who is well concentrated should give up the illusion of all bad impressions, as dust from the feet. Having shaken off the mass of ignorance and pain, one attains the bliss of liberation. That might be one of Adi Shankar's most esoteric writings I have read yet. Wow, that was heavy. A very poetic opening, has sort of this almost 60s vibe, like what is good for, what is good, like what is the good of lamps for someone who sees everything? What is the good of bathing for the immaculate, the one who is already clean? And it's a great opening, but then he answers in this really heavy, it's like being hit by Thor's hammer. He just gives it to you, and it's very difficult to digest. I am not going to try to go through everything here, even really say much, other than what I feel is that some of these things, it's not so much the lamps for the witness or the incense for the spotless, it's for us. It's symbolic things, and it's reflective of us, more so than others. Might be wrong on that. There's a lot here to pull apart and tear apart, and I will let you do that, as always. And I'm just going to leave this one here. I think this is a pretty heavy one, and I don't want to misinterpret it too much. So, thank you for watching, and until next time, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.